All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling Kyle Cease's book, The Illusion of Money. And it hits on something huge, right? This belief we all kind of have that if we just chase money hard enough, we'll finally get freedom, we'll finally feel secure. But what Cease argues is, well, that chase, that's the very thing holding us back.
Okay, to really get this, let's start with this incredible metaphor he uses. It really sets the stage for the whole book. Imagine, Michael Jordan, the legend, right? At the peak of his career, and bam, he gets amnesia. Totally forgets who he is. Next thing you know, he's working a shift at Applebee's, stressing about his rent, completely blind to his own genius. You'd be there, watching this, just wanting to shake him and yell, "Dude, you're Michael Jordan!"
And that right there, that's the core idea of the book. Cease is basically saying we're all that Michael Jordan with amnesia. Every single one of us. We're born as these brilliant, creative geniuses. But somewhere along the way, we buy into this tiny, limited story about who we are. We forget our own value. And what happens when you forget your worth? You start looking for it outside of yourself. You start chasing things, especially money, hoping it will finally make you feel whole. So because we've forgotten who we are, we end up in one of two relationships with money. On one hand, there's the fearful one, the needy one. It's all about anxiety and control and just gripping so tightly. And the irony, Cease says, is that this needy energy actually pushes money away. But then there's the other side, a relationship built on confidence, generosity, even a sense of play. And when you come from that place of ease and appreciation, well, money is actually drawn to you. The big takeaway? It's your internal world that's creating your external reality.
Okay, so this whole idea that our inner state is magnetic, that brings us to the first huge trap we fall into, the illusion of security. We get this idea in our heads, right? That if we just hit a certain number in our bank account, then we'll finally feel safe. Then we can relax. But here's the kicker. The book says this whole chase is based on a massive misunderstanding. That fear, that stress we feel about money, it's not actually about the money or the lack of it. Nope. It's about our thoughts about the money. We're literally creating our own anxiety.
I love this analogy he uses. He says it's like we draw a picture of a scary monster, and then we totally forget that we're the ones who drew it, and we get freaked out by our own drawing. We are literally scaring ourselves with our own thoughts.
So if money isn't the answer, if it can't give us that real, lasting security, then what can? Where does it really come from?
And the answer, according to the book, is that true security is an inside job. It's not out there in a bank account. It's something you build inside yourself. Your real assets, the ones nobody can ever take away, are your awareness, your presence, your ability to be open-hearted and just loving yourself no matter what. That's a well you can draw from anytime.
It reminds me of that famous Jim Carrey quote, He said he wishes everyone could get rich and famous just so they could see for themselves that it's not the answer. Because even when you get all the external stuff you thought would fix everything, you realize that feeling you were chasing wasn't out there to begin with. It was inside you the whole time.
Okay, so that leads us right into the next major trap, the identity trap. This is when we start to believe that our net worth is our self-worth. Kyle Cease talks about this from his own life, from his acting career after being in the movie 10 Things I Hate About You. It was this constant cycle. First it was, I gotta get the audition. Okay, got it. Now I gotta get the callback. Got that too. Now I need to land the part. Then once he got the part, he was worried his scenes would get cut. It's this endless treadmill, right? Where your happiness is always just around the next corner, tied to the next achievement. The huge, life-changing shift comes when we just stop. When we stop that frantic running and realize something profound. All those feelings we think money's gonna buy us, freedom, joy, abundance, we're not lacking them. We are them. We are the source. They're already inside us, just waiting for us to tune in.
We have it completely backwards, don't we? We think, when this happens, then I'll be happy. But Cease flips that completely on its head. He says, no, it's when I'm happy, then things will happen. You have to create the feeling first. You start living from that place of joy and abundance, and then your outside world can't help but start to reflect that back to you.
So the big question is, how do we actually do that? How do we go from chasing to creating? Well, this gets to the real heart of the book, letting go of needing money to feel okay, and instead starting to invest in the most important asset you have, you. And he tells this fantastic story to illustrate this, the tale of three Helens. Imagine three women, each given $1 million. Helen A., she just blows it all on short-term thrills. Parties, a flashy car, even a statue of Kid Rock. I'm not kidding. She has fun for a minute, but her actual value, her worth, goes down. Then you've got Helen B. She's the responsible one. She invested for a super safe, guaranteed 10% return. So she ends up with more money, sure, but she hasn't grown one bit as a person. But then there's Helen C. And this is where it gets interesting. She uses that $1 million to invest in her own expansion. She travels the world. She takes classes she's passionate about. She gets healthy. She starts a business doing what she loves. See, her focus isn't on protecting her money. It's on growing her internal value. And that is the single greatest investment strategy there is. She's becoming more creative, more alive, more valuable from the inside out.
This whole journey of investing in yourself, it follows a really clear path. First, you have to actually see the limiting beliefs you're carrying around. Then, you have to learn to accept this moment right here, right now, perfectly as it is. Once you're in that place of acceptance, you can start really investing in your own expansion. And from there, you start to follow your highest calling, that little whisper inside that's telling you what you'd love to do. All right, so this brings us to the best part. The part where this all becomes real for you. How you can take these ideas and start rewriting your own story with money, like today.
And the very first step is to just stop fighting reality. Whatever your financial situation looks like right now, what if it wasn't a problem? What if it's actually the perfect lesson plan designed just for you? What if it's here to teach you something you desperately need to learn? Just that little shift in perspective, it ends the war in your mind.
He gives us really simple but, wow, powerful exercise for this. First, you name a limiting belief. Let's say it's, I'm afraid of being broke. Okay, now you say that out loud, but you add a little twist at the end. You add the words, and I love that. So it becomes, I'm afraid of being broke, and I love that. It sounds weird, right? But what it does is it dissolves the judgment. It takes away the resistance, and it's the resistance that fuels the fear. You're basically learning to love all the parts of you, even the scared ones.
Ultimately, this whole thing isn't really about getting more money. The real job is to become worth more than money. It's to connect so deeply with who you are, with your presence, with what you can contribute to the world, that your value just goes beyond any price tag.
So I'll just leave you with this one final question to really chew on. What would you do if money had no say in your worth? If it didn't decide your next move? What would you do then? Because according to this book, that's where your real life, your real abundance is just waiting to begin.